Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot condemns barbaric acts committed by Hamas and says the world has failed the women of October 7th. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this is I feel kind of deeply about this one. For many reasons. The personal reason, of course, is that we had been called Nazi just for voting the way we wanted to vote by people who are now calling for the death of all Jews. I don't know how many people know they're doing it because the river to the sea, that's what that means.
Yep.
We're seeing a lot of kids only because TikTok told them so. They don't give a fuck. They weren't thinking about Israel before October 7th. They weren't thinking about the crisis in the Middle East, which has been going on for thousands of years, much less the last few. They weren't talking about this until TikTok told them, and they immediately turned into a bunch of Jew-hating Nazi motherfuckers.
Let me summarize the cognitive dissonance going on in your average millennial college student's head. Yes, I can summarize it. They need to view Jews as victims because Nazi oppression points.
The Jewish people
let me finish. But they also need to view Israel, the state, as a imperialist organ of the Western patriarchy. That's where the cognitive dissonance is coming from. They have to view Jews as victims, but they also have to view Israel as basically America's puppet, and that's bad.
Them, like the American media, they're getting all their news from Hamas. Let's move on here. Ever since the surprise invasion of Israel by Hamas, Gal Gadot has been actively bringing to light the barbaric acts committed by the Palestinian terror group. By the way, there is a video site where you can actually watch all of it. I recommend it. It is horrible. It's some of the worst shit you'll ever see. More recently, the Wonder Woman actress has taken to her social media to condemn the international community for turning a blind eye to Hamas, their crimes perpetrated against women, including the violence and rape. And it goes on to say, the world has failed the women of October 7th, decried Gal Gadot, elaborating, we claim we stand against rape, violence against women. We will not let women be victimized and then silenced. We say we believe women stand with women, speak out for women. The Israeli-born actress continued, on October 7th, the world witnessed Hamas carry out its violent plans in real time. That's right. They wore body cameras so they could videotape it. Within hours of October 7th, the first blood-chilling video emerged of Shani Luke being paraded naked and defiled by her proud assailants, and they were. And by the way, hashtag not all, I'm sorry. Hashtag, yeah, they were fucking celebrating it. I don't buy into this. Well, the people of Hamas, Gaza were, no, they were celebrating. The world has failed the women of October 7th, she goes on. Okay, I'll skip the part. On October 7th, the world witnessed Hamas carrying out its violent plans in real time within hours of the October 7th attack. The first blood-chilling video emerged of Shani Luke being paraded naked and defiled by her proud assailants. Yet 2 months later, women are still hostage to these rapists, and the world has failed to call this situation what it is, an urgent emergency that demands a decisive response. This is our moment as women and allies of women to act. I'm beseeching all of those who have done so much for human rights and women's rights globally, from the UN to the human rights community. Please join in the demand that Hamas release every single woman hostage immediately. How about every hostage? Let's go with that. I mean, I get where she's coming from, but let's just say hostage immediately. Not after the next round of international mediation, not after another day. These women cannot survive another moment of this horror. I agree. I'm sorry. There's nothing bad, nothing wrong that she's saying. A lot of people are having a hard time with this. Hamas are the bad guys. Hamas are terrorists. Gaza, the people of Gaza elected Hamas. Now,
well, elected by gunpoint, but
yeah, if you want to know who's being the oppressors, it's Hamas to the people of Gaza, because there is actually video. You can see the violence. But there's actually video also where soldiers have rescued people and they're saying Hamas is holding us back. Hamas are shooting us. Hamas, they'll shoot them in the streets and then go, look what the Israelis have done. And they've done this many times over.
When did we forget that people in Muslim countries basically want us all to submit to Sharia law? Like, when did we forget that the most fundamentalist Christian possible is, you know, a Johnny-come-lately light version of Sharia law. Like, no matter how bad the most fundamentalist Christian is, that's step one for Sharia law. So, like, it gets worse, far, far freaking worse.
Yeah, and the fact is, once again, a lot of this is being promoted by college kids, and just because TikTok told them to. I don't think that a lot of them know what they're getting themselves into, but then you got to get to a point where you're like, ignorance of the law doesn't mean you're allowed to break it.
Well, in fairness, their college professors told them first, is the thing.
Yeah, once again, look, I heard the same information. You heard the same information. You're smart enough to go, yeah, you're wrong. Okay, so it goes on to say, per the Associated Press, Hadass Ziv, Policy and Ethics Director for Physicians for Human Rights Israel Group, issued a statement in November addressing the sexual crimes committed by the Palestinian terror group. What we know for sure is that more than just one case, and it was widespread, and that this happened in more than one location and more than a handful of times. What we don't know, and what the police are investigating, is whether it was ordered to be done and whether it was systematic. Yeah, it was. It was ordered by Hamas. So anyway, you get the gist of it. You get what you stand for. And the reason why I've been, I don't know if you would say pissy or whatever, I've kind of been Ben Shapiroing it. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed. He was just off, man. He's like, these guys, you know, and I kind of the same way. Anytime I see somebody stand up for Hamas, and that's what they're doing. They're standing up for Hamas. They're not, oh, the people of Gaza. No, you're not. You're backing Hamas on this. Recently,
because Hamas hates the West, and so do they, is probably the main crux of it.
There was a TikTok video that came out, and this woman gets her chicken sandwich, and she gets mad because the wrapper is blue and white, and she goes in to complain about it. You see what you're doing. You see what you're doing. And at first I didn't get it. I'm like, what the freaking hell is she doing?
Israel flag.
Yeah, she said she thought it was the Israeli flag, and all I could think of, because as I'm watching her, well, you know what you're doing. All I could think of is, what the fuck are you talking about? In 1970s, McDonald's wrappers were blue and white. You dumbass. It's a callback, you fucking ignorant whore. Come on, seriously.
Now, let's not pretend like they didn't bring it out of retirement at this time specifically for the
maybe
the political brownie points.
We don't 100% know that. What we do know 100% is that they had it before. It's just blue and white. It means nothing, but here's a McDonald's freaking chicken sandwich and not a hamburger, because the guy said that. Well, we put the hamburgers in this wrapper and the chicken sandwich come in the blue and white. So what is it? Well, I mean, if it's the case of we wanted to promote Israel, what, only if they eat chicken? Only the people who eat chicken get the promotion of Israel? What?
I don't know. It smells very much like corporate timing to me. But in any case, it shouldn't have been that big a freaking deal one way or the other.
Shouldn't have, but that's what we're getting. There were 3 kids. I'm sure you guys have seen the videos stopping a woman to go into the bathroom because they didn't want her taking a picture of the fact that they wrote something anti-Semitic on it on the mirror. It was ridiculous. So anyway, let's see. Rhaegar is saying, Dalton, I think these are Gen Z and less millennials.
Yeah, but my point still stands, because they're being educated by the same professors into the same mindset, which is, and you have to think Jews are victims because of the Holocaust, but you also have to think that Israel is bad because it's an organ of the U.S. government and therefore also bad.
And MK saying, not the Zoomers. More Zoomers than millennials. It's the Zoomers, not the millennials. Remember when they got that so-called letter from Osama bin Laden, decided to believe every word of it? Good Lord.
Yeah, because he hates the West, and so do they. That's the main crux of it. They have been academically conditioned to hate the Western world that they call home, and so any anti-Western activism, quote unquote, is good in their mind in some way.
Maranya, I don't know what 40 minutes later is. This is our second topic, if they were talking about, like, we're still talking about this one thing. But we've done that before. We've taken a topic and gone for more than an hour or so.
I think she was referring to getting to the thing in the thumbnail 40 minutes after the thing.
Oh, I wanted to do that for 2 reasons. 1, maybe people will watch through that first one and get a little bit more watch time. 2, because I want to make it so deep that when the people who are very flag happy come in, maybe they get tired. and they'll drop off before they actually get to this part. Yeah. As for the protesters with Queers for Palestine signs, often in California, New York, why don't they go to Gaza for that? Dalton, you're not dumb enough to take a vacation to Gaza, are you? Even
no,
at time?
I would like to see the Middle East because it's an interesting culture, but I think it would be a race between two different mobs to decide whether I get beheaded for sorcery or thrown off a building because gay.
Okay. Well, here's the deal.
Or just stoned to death because crippled. It could be any three of the things.
What was up, Jay?
I saw okay, this is the whole deal in the education system. And let's put the brainwashing aside for a second. I saw this on Twitter the other day. Some teachers had made a compilation video, or somebody made a compilation video with these teachers talking about how these kids today, and we're talking about 7th, 8th, 9th graders who are reading on 3rd, 4th grade levels. They're not being taught properly. These kids are, maybe they were born not stupid, but they've been made to be stupid. So if if their reading comprehension is bad, they're not going to be able to go get the information to truly be educated on what the radical Muslim movement, especially over in the Middle East, does. And yes, it is 100% pretty much everything anti-West.
Yeah.
And especially
miseducation,
especially anything that has to do with erotica, or, and I mean, like you said earlier about the fundamentalist Christians, it's that to the nth degree, especially when it comes to women exposing themselves. So, but the bottom line is, these kids are just going to be, you could tell them anything. You could go tell them they could jump off the Golden Gate Bridge and they'll be able to fly to the moon. And you know what? I bet you a few of them would do it. And I know that kind of is a joke, but it might not be. It's really, really scary how dumb the younger generations are growing up to be.
Well, and it is largely due to miseducation, because people have the natural tendency to ask questions and the natural tendency to be curious. And that gets quashed because don't you dare speak out of turn of my syllabus. Don't you dare tell me the textbook is wrong ever, or question what the textbook is saying.
This is also the problem, and I know I'm going to sound like an old man here. Back when we were kids and they told us don't watch too much of the television, it'll rot your brain. Well, there's something to that. And now this has gone to even more, the larger degree with these devices. These kids, from the moment they can start comprehending, a lot of them have their noses shoved right into an iPad.
I was noticing that with my nieces. Now my nieces do get outside, but I wish they would get outside a little bit more. Plus, they don't read. I'm not saying they can't read; they just don't.
Well, the pretty lights and colors, like the things that these quick little games and stuff on the smart devices give them, these quick dopamine bursts. It's like in drug addiction. They're going to go straight to that and overlook all the others, especially something that takes effort like reading does.
One thing I noticed, and I understand you're an exception to the rule, but one thing I did notice is there seems to be a dropping off of imagination from generation to generation.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of people, a lot of younger people who were telling me, yeah, I don't have, it's very hard to get one. And I think part of that is you're not experienced. Like when you read, you have it in your mind and it's going through everything and you're recreating it. When you're getting visual stimulus just over and over and over and over and over again, I think it's stamping that part of the brain down. Going ahead, you look like you're about to explode, Dalton.
It's also because cognition is like any other physical thing. If you don't use it, you lose it. It atrophies.
Yeah,
and partially possibly because of the, attention deficit thing from the technology. I'm not going to put so much stock in that. But also, again, the miseducation thing. If you're told, don't think this way, don't think outside of the box we're trying to put you in because that makes you a bad person. Some people will dig in their heels and be like, no, I'm going to be even more exploratory and defiant because fuck you. But a lot of people are going to go, well, clearly that's the wrong way to think, so I'm just not going to think that way anymore. And then that part of their brain atrophies and away goes the abstract thinking or the creative learning, as you were, the imaginative parts of the brain. And it never comes back because they never use it.
Comments here because I am far behind. Colleagues, young men and women don't understand the real ratification between the two states if their lives depended on it. They're so busy with social media platforms, their minds have been taken over, says Melt on Hunger. Yeah. MK says, I'd just like to ask any one of these protesters when have news ever hijacked planes and killing thousands in one day for those dumb kids praising bin Laden, trying to justify Hamas attacks. Yeah, it just doesn't sit right. It's for me, even hearing these, it's like, you got to be the dumbest motherfuckers on the face of the planet to believe that. Let me continue here, Dalton.
Sorry,
I'm just going to go over. Hello to Otis. What's up? Let's see. They hijack all the movements and all of the entertainment. How they convince their own is just as sad with 75 virgins or whatever. It's, come on, you want a little experience. Maranya is the same people who don't bother about relentless rainbow packaging pretty much year round have year-round hair are raising a hissy fit about blue and white packaging. Really? Yeah, I know, right? I was referring to when Dalton was saying he was going to pontificate about something. You missed the joke because, oh, okay, I got it. Sorry. Jay is speaking to
you were just playing the drinking game. We got it, Maranya. Sorry.
Jay is speaking to the thing I keep saying. I am not trying to be cute when I say people are illiterate and don't read. You can go and test it for yourself by just asking questions, says Rhaegar. These kids will break down under that. What gets me is you've got an intelligence machine and they're using it to be stupid. Yep. I mean, literally, your computer, your phone can teach you anything, and they're using it to watch TikTok. Not Chinese TikTok. It's a Chinese company, and China won't allow the shit they allow on ours over there. They're teaching fucking math and their language, their history. They're teaching stuff over there to their kids. They're making their kids better and our kids worse. Holy, if you've got kids and I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. You got to freaking grab a hold of them a little bit and say, no, turn that shit off. Here, do something educational. Jesus Christ.
I didn't have a smartphone until I was 16.
Where's the Tylenol?
Well, yeah, I didn't. Another thing they said too was, I'm sorry, Dalton, that the kids today, you'll ask them what the capital of the country is. Not a clue. Ask them what state they live in. And I'm not joking. Not a clue. They don't know what state. A lot of them don't know what states they live in. That is sad, but it is more scary than sad.
I remember a video where someone went up to a Second Amendment protest. That people were protesting against the Second Amendment, and they simply asked the question, "What is the Second Amendment you're protesting for?" And not only did most of the answers they actually did get, were they wrong, but also a lot of times they were just like, I don't know. And I'm just sitting there like, how can you like get this moral fervor going without at least some cognitive understanding of what the frick is going on?
MK is bringing up the fact that there's a whole bunch of protests now to have Chick-fil-A forced to be open on Sundays if they're along the highway. I don't think that's going to pass because, as you're pointing out in the second one, apparently Chick-fil-A is the only joint for food on the highways. If it's your business, you shouldn't be forced to do anything. I don't believe in we're forcing them to make cakes and all that kind of stuff. Go find somebody who does. I mean, look, here's the thing. I think if you are going to discriminate against somebody, put it on the front door. Right. That should be the compromise.
And I've never once heard Chick-fil-A go to McDonald's or Wendy's and say, "Hey guys, I think you need to be closed on Sundays."
Exactly. I think that if somebody doesn't want to serve somebody based on race, fine. Put it on the front door.
Their business will fail as it should.
Now,
but, whatever.
Let me finish. Put it on the front door so nobody's embarrassed going in. I guarantee this is what's going to happen. A lot of businesses that will not serve black people will go under. A lot of businesses that will not serve white people will thrive.